Moving on to your next topic, you have responsibilities and skills of professional manager. Now, what are the responsibilities and skills of a professional manager? As you all know, a good manager should be a team player, okay? When he's bringing the entire team of individuals together with different skills. A team leader should be able to fuel and guard the shared vision of his team, right? He should be able to align all the individuals in a particular team. He should also be able to continuously motivate them and guard their shared vision. He should be able to encourage his team members and at the same time be in constant touch with the market as well. He should be able to motivate his team, and moreover he must also encourage and reward entrepreneurial thinking even if those efforts fail to deliver the anticipated results. Now, what are the responsibilities? These are certain qualities of a particular good manager. Now, the roles and responsibilities of a professional manager are: first one is conceptual skills. As you all know, a particular group must always have a shared vision and a set of objectives, okay? So conceptual skills is basically to have a vision and set of objectives for the organization and to build a team that has to drive to attain them. Now, the managers, it is the responsibility of the manager to build a team in such a way that the team will be able to achieve a particular objective and follow all the rules and regulations which are given by the particular manager. And these rules and regulations are important for the achievement of the objective and to carry out the task effectively. Now, as you all know, manager is from the top management, okay, and he will convey all the information of the top management to the middle level management and to the low level management. Now, conceptual skills are important to the top management because they provide an ideal plan and a clear blueprint for the members of the organization. You will have various discussions and meetings wherein you will have in the top management, you will have managers, board of directors, okay, you will have various important members in the top management. So whatever information is being told in the top management, the manager will convey it to the low level and the middle level management. A blueprint will be formed and will be conveyed to the middle and low level management. Now, after he's conveying all the information, our first step is to form a team, align all the rules and follow all the rules and regulations, align the objectives, then after which you will have to prepare a clear blueprint and convey it to the member, and then you have to delegate the work to the team members, okay? After you're delegating the work, analyze and find out which employee is capable, how the employee is able to carry out a particular task, how you can entrust them with top responsibilities, and in order to achieve the activities, in order to carry out the activities effectively and to achieve the particular objective, you need to delegate the work, and continuously the manager has to monitor the particular work if the employees are able to do it effectively or not, and if they are able to work towards a common goal and achieve a particular objective. Okay, now your next responsibility and skill of a professional manager is diagnostic and analytical skill. Diagnostic and analytical skill is basically how he takes the right and how the manager takes the right and effective decisions at the right time. Okay, a manager must have correct analysis of the problem. Now, suppose a particular problem has been occurred in an organization. The manager should be capable enough that he analyzes the particular problem and comes up with effective solutions, okay? He should be on spot, he should be spontaneous, he should have that thinking capacity of how he can remove alternatives to solve a particular problem, okay? For example, Bharti Enterprises chairman Sunil B. Mittal, he has many firsts to his credit, okay? There are various examples of how a particular managers, they come up with effective solutions to solve their problems instantly. Next, you have human skills. This is the ability of managers to deal and interact effectively with people. A manager should focus on the objectives of the organization as well as on the well-being of its employees. Manager must also learn to recognize performance and accomplishments and employees in the organization as well as the well-being of the employees. Now, as we all studied in the earlier topics, human resource is the most important asset of any organization. So, manager should identify which employee is capable, how the employee are doing their works, how effective is the environment of the organization, and how he deals with the employees is also very important. Okay, how he constantly motivates them, how he how he takes into consideration their grievances, how he addresses the grievances, and how he's being a democratic leader. A manager should always be a democratic leader. He should take into consideration the views and opinions of the employees as well, and he should not always dominate on the employees. So human skills is very important. He should be friendly, he should be very of a very good nature, soft nature, and he should not be dominating over the employees. Next, you have technical skills. Technical skills is basically the manager should possess but technical skills, certain technical skills as to how he needs to work in a the manager should have necessary technical skill, technological skills as to how he needs to operate a particular machinery, and how he needs to guide his particular employees under him to follow the particular rules and regulations and come up with a particular product. So it is very important to have technical skills also. So these are the various skills and various responsibilities and skills of the professional manager that the professional manager needs to possess. Okay, technological skills are also very important, and he needs to continuously update himself with the updating changes in the skills and knowledges of the technology. Moving on to your next topic, you have management as an art or a science. Okay, management as art, science, or a professional. Now, talking about management as an art is basically art is systematic application of knowledge and knowledge in affecting desired result. And art is practice stated differently in science to known. The art is to do. Okay, art is something you need to do, whereas a science is something to be known. Okay, it is to be known. Now, management as an art, we look into what are the features of management as an art. First thing that you require in management as an art is practical knowledge. Now, what is practical knowledge? If you want to work in a particular organization, a particular management, you need to require something known as practical knowledge, right? Now, what is this practical knowledge? Firstly is to plan, organize, guide, coordinate, and control the activities of the subordinates. Now, the manager in a particular management needs to have a practical knowledge as to how he needs to plan the activities, organize the activities, how he needs to guide, coordinate, and control the activities of the subordinates. Subordinates are nothing but the employees who are working under the particular manager. Therefore, practical knowledge of these functions is very essential. How he needs to do it. See, theory is fine, we studied the theory aspect, but when it is time to imply, practical knowledge is very important. You see the practical nature of how you get the things done through other. Management is an art of getting things done through others, right? So he's also required to work in real situation of businesses for his overall understanding. Only theory knowledge is not enough, but the manager also has to work under real situations in order for his overall understanding how he needs to pull in all of these activities for the successful achievement of goals. Next one is personalized skill or application is personalized. Either it is personalized skill or application is personalized. Now, what happens here is basically management is personal as well as individual. It is a group of people who are coming together with different skills, knowledges, competencies, etc., who are working towards one common goal and achieving one common vision, right? So, the psychology of individual differences applies in case of management also. Every manager has his own original distinct way of doing his work according to his ability. First one, you're considering ability, understanding, tactfulness, and experiences. Okay, so basically here you have personalized skills or application is personalized. Different managers will do work in a different way because of their either it could be because of their ability, it could be because of their understanding of a particular situation, their tactfulness, their experiences. Okay, based on all of that, different managers differ. Next is concrete result or result oriented approach. Now, in concrete result or result oriented approach, you are achieving a particular or a definite goal. The objective of reaching production or sales target is most economical in manner, right? So, you need to have maximum satisfaction of shareholders, employees, consumers, and public. Okay, you need to get the maximum result. Okay, you need to get maximum consumer satisfaction, and also you should work towards achieving the goal. Next is constructive objective. objective. In under your constructive objective, your management will create a congenial environment. Now, what is congenial environment? Is a good atmosphere wherein all employees are treated effectively. You're continuously motivating the employees. Okay, you're continuously motivating the employees to offer best services of the enterprises to the consumers. Next is perfection through practice. As there is an old saying which says practice makes a man perfect. So as and when a particular manager is put through real situation, when the problems are arising and he's coming up with solutions, he is becoming perfect day by day as to how he needs to handle various situations under different pressures, under different activities, okay, under different circumstances, how he needs to work and how he needs to perfect himself for the various other activities. So moving on to your next topic, you have management as science. Now, what is management as science? It is a universally accepted principle. As we all looked into the first point and the starting of the chapter, management is something that is universally accepted. It cannot be eliminated in any activity of the business. Management is something that is universally accepted system, and it can be applied in all the situations at all times. Okay, at all times. Next is experimentation and orientation. Now, experimentation is management is something that you can continuously experiment with. You can bring in various changes. You can use your own techniques. Okay, you can use your own techniques. You can come up with your own solutions. You can come up with your own ideas as to how you want to improvise your particular management based on your situation of the organization and how you need to continuously absorb. So here it says scientific principles are derived through scientific investigation and researching, that is, they are based on logic. Okay, example, that is principle that earth goes around the sun has scientifically been proven. Management principles are also based on scientific inquiry and observation, not only on the opinion of Henry Fayol. Okay, they also have been developed through experiments. As I told you, all continuous experimentation. You suppose if you have a particular event in your own college, okay, and you are being appointed as a leader, so you will come up with your own strategies, your own ideas as to how you want to organize, how you want to distribute the work, how you will get the work done. So you're continuously experimenting. At the same time, you're continuously observing each and every individual, whether they are doing the work properly and effectively and achieving the objectives or not. Next, management as a science, next point is cause and effect relationship. Now, cause and effect relationships are interrelated to each other. For example, when metals are heated, they are expanded. Thus, the cause is heating and the result is expansion, right? When you heat a particular metal, it expands. So the cause is heating and the result is expansion. So one particular change will result in the other, will bring about a change in the result as well. So if you bring about a change in behavior, it will bring about a change in result. So it is a cause and effect relationship. It cannot be separated from each other. Management cannot be separated. Okay. Next is test of validity and predictability. Now, in your test of validity and predictability, it is basically a science principle. That is, it says how you are testing your validity, whether how long will the particular management be valid and how effectively can you predict a particular management strategy or objectives or anything as such. Okay, for example, H2 and O2 will always give you H2O. This is a common water thing formula if you've all looked into your chemistry. Moving on to your next topic, you have management as your profession. Under management as a profession, you all know management is a systemized body of knowledge which is studied in specialized management institution and practiced in real situations. You're studying, but you are practicing in real situations of the business, such it is a profession. Now, firstly, it is a specialized body of knowledge and skills. Management as a profession is a specialized body of knowledge and skills because you're bringing in different people with different qualifications, different mindset, different specialities, and you are achieving a particular objective, right? You're pooling in knowledge in your particular organization. Next is formal training. Under formal training, when you bring in a particular employee in an organization, you do not just give them the work to do. You train them under different situations. You train them as to tell how you need to do a particular task, how you need to achieve the objective. You give them step-by-step directions. Formal training is provided. Social responsibility. Social responsibility is such that you, as an effective manager, you need to work towards achieving the goals of the society as well and benefiting the society as well. You should have a common objective and you should create employment opportunities and also contribute towards the growth of the society. Code of conduct, very important, because in the code of conduct you should ensure that you have ensure discipline in your organization, and you have good social conduct, and you're treating everyone equally and avoiding every unfair practices.